Not me shooting last minute before I have to go somewhere. But anyway, the makeup works so that I'll be pretty. Nikienda mali naenda. But anyway, love bombing, according to Google, is the action or practice of lavishing someone with attention or affection, especially in order to influence or manipulate them. Again, the action or practice of lavishing someone with attention or affection, especially in order to influence or manipulate them. So, love bombing is a manipulative tool and it's majorly used by narcissists. Najua mmesikia jina sana, it's sort of a buzzword on social media right now. Kila mtu akiachwa na chali yake wako like, they were a narcissist, but do you really know what it is? It's a personality disorder, NPD, narcissistic personality disorder. Who is a narcissist? I can explain it from my head, but I want to look for the appropriate definition to it. Did I write it, or will I have to? Anyway, I'm not saying it. But a narcissist is a person who has a elevated sense of self. They are ignorant of others in the sense that they think that their needs should come first. They are selfish, they are grandiose, and they are manipulative in a way that they use people to benefit themselves, to feel good about themselves, to get things that they want without really caring if they're hurting other people or not. That's on the minimal level, but to the extent that it can grow into, it can become an actual personality disorder. Yeah, and ikifika hiyo point ni serious sana. And yeah, basically that's who a narcissist is. I will add additional information here from DSM-5 officially, and yeah, so that you can be able to really learn some of these buzzwords that we use. Like, tusizitupe tu anyhow. Like, let's be intentional with our words, because it's not fair to label people without them actually being diagnosed. Just like how it's wrong to say, oh, I'm so OCD just because you're neat. It's an actual problem and people live with it, but unaitumia kama adjective. OCD is not about being neat. It's an obsessive compulsive disorder, something that you cannot stop yourself from doing and you feel like you are compelled to do it. Be it checking the door many times usiku kuona kama imelokiwa, and clearly you checked it 2 seconds ago, but your mind is telling you, hey, you check it again. Did you really lock the door? Or like, oh man, I'm so bipolar, just because in the morning you are happy and then something happened in the afternoon you are sad. Like, mood changes are normal because of, you know, daily life stresses, occurrences, situations that have happened. And even for women, when you're like on your menstrual cycle, on those days on your period where you're so full of hormones, therefore you're moody, but it doesn't mean you're bipolar. So let's stop using such words. Yeah. And I know May is over, but it was mental health awareness month. I hope you got to be involved in it, either through learning something new yourself, teaching other people if you are equipped with knowledge, or, you know, ending stigma by either sharing it on your social media or talking to mental health problems about with your family and friends. So, but anyway, that's what a narcissist is. They are grandiose, they have an elevated sense of self-importance, they are selfish, and they only care about themselves. Yeah, so most narcissists are men, according to whatever I've observed, and they use love bombing, which is a manipulative tool where they shower you with lots of affection, especially early on in the relationship, to lure you in, and for their benefit. Though when you manipulate later, or they hold that thing they did for you against you, ama they use it for like blackmail or something. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, was it 2 years back or so on Netflix? There was this docu-series called The Tinder Swindler, and this guy, for the first date, was flying women on planes, on private jets. They're going to these beautiful beach destinations on the first date. Like Literally, he wouldn't spend that much money on a stranger. Like, such things should be red flags. But babes are usually like, I am the prize. Let me get to this plane. Na sayo unakuwa scammed. Come on. Like, we need to be aware of some of these things. So, you're asking yourself, why is a man or a woman who has a crush on me, or who likes me, or who is in love with me? Because, it takes time to be in love with someone. So, someone can't really be in love with you after 2 weeks. So if they're doing such things after weeks of only dating, and then they're justifying it with the fact that they are in love with you, like, think twice. It's wrong, because it's mostly used as a manipulation tool, just like I've explained to you, mostly by narcissists in relationships, so that they can have the power. I did this for you. Why are you not spending all your time with me? And I bought you Louis Vuitton shoes. And I flew you to Maldives. And I paid you school fees and stuff like that. Like, it's a tool for power. Like, in any dynamic with a narcissist, they want to have the power. So when you challenge that, things don't get too friendly. Like, they start getting ugly. And I wrote it down actually. I finally found it. So pull up to what I was talking about who a narcissist is. A narcissist is a person with an unreasonably high sense of their own importance, just like I said. They need and seek too much attention and want people to admire them. People with this disorder may lack empathy. They usually lack empathy, by the way. Yeah. They lack the ability to understand or care about the feelings of other people. Empathy. So they're not empathetic. I understand your situation. They're like, I can't relate. I only relate to me. I only relate to myself. So that is what NPD is all about, narcissistic personality disorder. There are many causes. Causes. There are many causes to NPD, but it can be rooted to childhood, like a lot of psychological things. You can always root it back and trace it back to your childhood. Like, how was your upbringing? Did your parents give you everything you wanted? Did you always have your way? Was it your way or the highway? And such things can contribute to this type of disorder. So, like, if you're a parent watching this, please be careful. Like, you need to strike a balance between being a friend to your child, between being the good cop and between being the bad cop. Like, you just can't give your child everything they desire, because the world does not work like that. So you're raising them to not survive in a world that is so harsh. Like, you need to train them for reality of how things are, and they need to know that they have to earn things, they have to be respectful, and that things don't always happen the way you want them to happen. And like for children, when they don't get their way, they start throwing tantrums. Then you give in to them, they learn, oh, kumbe, if I throw tantrums, I can be able to get my way, and such things. So a lot of things are rooted in our childhood. So if you want to know why you are the way you are now, look back into your childhood. Back to love bombing. You've already seen what it is. Once again, it's the action or practice of lavishing someone with attention or affection, especially in order to influence or manipulate them. It may be difficult to decipher at first, because it may look like it's just your partner falling in love with you. Oh, baby, I love you so much. I wanna... What's another crazy thing? I'll buy you this iPhone 14 and I just met you 2 weeks ago. Like, such things, and you're like, okay, why are you doing this? And as much as we care about each other, we are not as important. Like, we only met a few weeks ago or a few months ago. Like, what's the hurry? Like, what's the rush? Like, why are you going all out? Like, expensive gifts early in the relationship should be like a red flag for you to watch out for. And maybe if you're struggling financially, you wouldn't really give it much thought. You will be like, God, thank you, you have sent me a savior. But think twice. So love bombing uses attention, like lots of attention. Maybe this person is at your beck and call 24/7, and you're like, when do they get time for themselves, their family, their friends, their hobbies, their work, their studies? You're just like, hold up, you do not breathe and eat kisha. Like, come on, don't you have a life? It may feel good to have someone like at your beck and call every time and always there with you, spending time with you, adoring you and stuff. But you really have to think twice. Like, when they don't have a life, are you their life? That's dangerous. love bombing also uses affection, like lots of affection, lots of PDA, like grand gestures, like a million roses. Okay, not a million, but you get the picture, like 300 roses on your first date. Like, okay, that's not bad, maybe that's not a good example, but like really grand gestures, like maybe buying you a car after dating for 1 month. Really? And then adoration, they're like, you're the air that I breathe, like yani wamekuelevate to a level and you're like, hey, mtu ananichocha kweli, as in you feel like the only girl in the world, and that's a good feeling, and that's actually normal and healthy in healthy relationships. But early on, kuna tu a certain level of adoration. It's borderline worship, like kidogo wakunywa maji yenye umoga nayo. You get what I'm trying to say? Like, but like it's too much. It's borderline worship. Like, no one is that good except God. So come on now. So it can manifest itself in terms of like expensive gifts very early on in the relationship, amazing trips. They're always around. Back to the constant attention, constant compliments all the time, and so. It's commonly used in cults. We've been seeing on the news, if you're in Kenya, the Shakahola story with Pastor Ezekiel and Pastor Mackenzie, and how people have been brainwashed because probably they were shown attention at the very beginning and they felt like this sense of belonging. Because these pastors and these cult leaders, they're not stupid. They know psychology and they know how to manipulate people's minds, and they can read what you really need. And that's what they give you. They shower you with it such that you're hooked and you're addicted. And then finally they can tell you whatever they want to and you follow. So love bombing is used in cults, in gangs, in sex trafficking and whatnot. So you might be asking yourself, like, why does this thing work? Because it's good. It feels good to receive all these things. Because they're not bad things in necessarily. Like going out on trips and having expensive gifts is not a bad thing. I'm trying to to remember that phrase, in of itself. Like on its own, it's not a bad thing. But when you mix it with the combination of this is someone you don't know very well and you haven't been together for long, it starts being weird and you start asking questions, And it works because everyone wants to be loved and appreciated. Come on now. Who doesn't want some TLC? I know I do. Yeah, so that's why it works. But watch out for these things so that you safeguard yourself, because usually, just like I've told you, narcissists use love bombing in their relationships as a manipulative tool to gain power. So when you go against them, they start holding it against you, like, I did this for you, you owe me your time. It's like sort of like they own you, and that's a very dangerous dynamic. And in the worst case scenarios, it can turn to abuse, either emotional or physical. So that's why you need to like be aware of these red flags very early on. Yeah. And it can happen with any relationship, by the way, not just romantic, even platonic. And so you really need to be careful about your circle of friends, people you surround yourself with, business partners, anyone. And so usually the person love bombing has an expectation. I'm telling you, this Canairo, this world, this earth, people are evil. People won't just give you good things, evil too. Of course, kuna angels who are like human beings that God sends here to minister to us on earth, and they are generally good kind of people. But most of the people, they are rotten, evil people, stinking people. So just be careful. Like, just like how babes always told, like a guy, most guys, some are good. Like a guy won't just take you out and give you nice things just to hug you and hold hands. Like they will want something. They will want the hoo-ha. So just like that, it's the same way in love bombing. Like usually the person love bombing has an expectation of the other person. So they're doing that so that they can get something from you later. And you will pay for it later, unfortunately. And so usually the person, again, as I said, has an expectation of the other person that's ridiculous, like equal high standard, impossible to meet. Like, because I'm your boyfriend and because I take you out on these expensive dates twice a week and buy you flowers weekly and give you girlfriend allowance very early on in the relationship, I need you to hang out with me every day. I am tired. I have work. I have family. I have friends. I have hobbies. I have a business. How can I hang out with you every day? Especially if you guys are not in the same geographical location. Okay, they might pay for your Uber or for your flight if it's long distance, but like some things are not realistic, and just some days you just need your space. So usually these demands that come from the person love bombing are usually impossible to meet. Or they can tell you, I want you to stop hanging out with your best friend so much and to spend all your weekends with me. And you're like, why? That's suspicious. That's weird. So these expectations are usually very hard to meet, and so they get frustrating on you, and then because you're not able to meet it, they become angry at you, and then it can turn into abuse. So sad. And so they may want full constant attention, just like I was describing, in return, and get offended when this is not the case. They then withdraw the love. So if they were paying for your gas, for your petrol, they stop. Uko hapo tu standard flat foot because ulikuwa umezoea baby girl treatment. Yo, tea for tough. They then withdraw the love and punish the receiver via, they can give you silent treatment. So if you're dating, if they're not picking your calls, their energy is different and you guys are texting and stuff like that. So Dr. Ramani, who's a psychologist, speaks on this issue and says love bombing works because it hits what matters to you. So just like I was saying, you are broke and the money is very important and you need to survive, as we all do, but maybe you fancy the luxurious life more and you've always envisioned your romantic partner being that for you. And so when they are talking to you, like in the early beginning stages, they were like, nimekapata baby girl treatment ndo itafanya nipate huyu na nimshike na akwe hapa kwa mkono yangu, you know. And so they learn that, and so they use that to have power over you. And so it works because that's what matters to you. If it's attention, just like we've said, it doesn't have to be monetary or financial or material. It can be attention, like you love, as in you breathe in and you eat, you poop attention, like you love attention. So they notice that, they know that, they mark that, and they give you that. And so you're hooked because that's what matters to you. And that's why it works. And that's why it's hard to notice, because you're like, this is what I love, this is what I need. Yeah, so this video won't be so long. I keep saying that and it's 17 minutes. Also, I need to go. But just to wrap it up, not all attention at the beginning of love or a relationship is love bombing. So doing something special is not necessarily love bombing, but is the intensity too much for that level of intimacy? Because hamjakuwa as close for someone to go all out. Because let's be real, you won't want to invest a lot in something that you're not sure is going to be permanent, or in something that is not long term. You dig. But again, disclaimer, like usiseme at your boyfriend, your new boyfriend is doing all these good things and you're like, you are a narcissist, you're love bombing me. No, slow down. It's not necessarily that. And so if the constant communication isn't pressured, again, like expensive gifts, constant attention, constant communication, all that, need to level equal. So like it's not too grandiose, that's okay. And if the constant communication doesn't feel pressured, like, oh, you're obligated to talk to your boyfriend for 2 hours every day on the phone, then it's cool. Just relax.